Catherine's Garden and Home. It's so good to be here with you today. I hope that all is well with you. Why? Because this is our opportunity to grow, 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 grow together right here at Catherine's Garden and Home. And we are planning different things and getting different things together so that we can yeah, so that we can come together and learn more about our garden and to figure out how we can create a very beautiful space for 2022. I know that we're all excited about getting started on seed starting and thinking of ways that we can expand and grow our gardens. Well, we can do it together. And we do it together by having these discussions and talking about what we like. I think it just opens up our understanding of what the garden means to us and how we can just make it better and better and better. And especially when we're able to go back and look at the past, what happened in 2021, and decide that we're not going to make those same mistakes that we made last year, but that we're going to learn from our mistakes and create an even more beautiful, bold, and bountiful garden for 2022. So I have some tips here for you, and this is what we can possibly do to make our gardens better, is to really think about the senses. When you walk into your garden, you want to be attracted by it through your senses. That's how we take in information, through our five senses. And so when we provide that in our gardens, it just enhances it, and it makes us like that space. And it gives us an illusion of bounty and blessing. Yeah, who is there? So good to have you with me. Let's see. Cassie, how are you? How are you? I'm doing well, and I'm glad that you come to join me this evening because I have been. Hey, Sonia! Sonia's with us too. Yay! Yay, so good. I don't feel like I'm talking to myself, but I have my friends with me. So how are you, my gardening friends? I hope that all is well with you and that you are excited about this new gardening year, and that you are planning. Lynette is in the house. Hi, Lynette. How are you? How are things going for you? I hope all is well and that you're getting excited about your gardens. You're doing well? That's good. That's good. Yeah. So as we go through, what I was thinking about. Oh, Cheryl Chisholm. Hello, Miss Catherine. How are you doing this evening? I'm doing fine. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much for coming and visiting with us today. Yes. I have been thinking about my garden very much in an intense way, and that's why I've kind of lined up certain videos to kind of recap and to bring back to my memory what my garden looked like last year in 2021. And so I started first by looking at the spring, late spring, and looking at the G Mama Grows. Yay! How are you, my darling? Welcome to all of you in the house. It's so good to have you all come on. You make me happy. Yeah, it's so good to have you. Oh, my gardening friends and And just knowing that we're in, it's so good to be with people who have the same like mind as you. You know that they are interested in this topic of growing things and having beauty surround them, and so it just makes it exciting. And I was thinking about, well, what would be the topic for today? What should we talk about? And I just wanted to talk about a beautiful, bold, bountiful gardening. And I just was looking at and working on some videos of my garden, just reviewing it from last year. And I myself was amazed at what I saw, the bounty, the beauty, and I was in awe of my own garden. Because when I look outside right now, um, the snow has melted, so now I can see the grass and the brown beds, the soil. And I don't see that color. I don't see all of that. I see still the lines of the garden, and so there's some winter interest in certain parts of the garden. There are shrubs and other things that can at least give the impression or the idea that there's more to the garden than just grass and dirt. And but when I went back and I looked at some of the footage from last year, from the videos that I created, it made me feel so happy because I realized that there was a lot of beauty in the garden last year, and that we were able, my husband and I were able to create this oasis of lusciousness and joy. And it was kind of a little intimidating too, because then I'm thinking, well, can I reproduce this? What is this next garden going to be looking like for 2022? Because each year is different. Something new can happen that can change things around. And like trees grow and they shade out things, or you lose a tree, and if you had a shade garden before, now you have a garden that is full sun. So you have to think about your garden differently. So to me, each and every gardening season is an opportunity to create something new, something fresh. But if we go into this whole process with a sense of anticipation, of creating a joyful space, a bountiful space, a bold space, a space that speaks to who we are, and it's intentional, to what we want, then we will end up next year at this time, at the end of the year at this time, feeling very good about our gardens and knowing that we've created something very unique for that time. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I'm being very, I'm just thinking about it, and I was excited. So do check out my videos, because I'm carrying you all through the seasons. The spring, what did my garden here at Catherine's Garden and Home look like in the spring? What did it look like for the summer? And then what did it look like for the late summer into the fall or harvest season? And then of course you know what it looks like now for the winter, because that's where we are now. And I really enjoyed it. So tomorrow I'm going to be releasing a really nice video. So look for it. But also, in the process of looking, I was also planning. It started it caused me to ask myself a lot of questions on how to improve the garden and what to think about, what to meditate on. Yes, having a peaceful garden and keeping track of plants is important. Yeah. Yes, it is. And especially now that everything looks like it's dead and covered, it's so easy also to probably go over and dig it up, dig up stuff. So we want to just be aware and also kind of recall where we put things in the garden. I think that that is important too. So it's good to reflect. It's good to go back and to observe your gardens. So I also have been using my journal and just looking at it and seeing how I can best um, allow it and help it to make me be more intentional. How can I be more intentional with my garden? And I'm enjoying thinking about it and how I'm going to fill it out. And I did start the process by, um, putting my name on it, claiming it, claiming this process for myself and putting down the date. Um, and then just looking at part one, which is dreaming and planning, and knowing that, well, what zone am I in? I'm in zone 6. What usually happens at different times in the spring, in the summer, in the fall, in the winter? How does the seasons progress? Looking for or finding out what is the last frost date in spring. And then how much time do I have to grow things? What is the first frost date in autumn? And what was it like last year? Did when did things start to settle down? When was the best planting time? Like, I was thinking about it that a lot of people are starting seeds now in January. For me, it doesn't make any sense for me to start seed sowing now here. At least for me, it doesn't, because one, I don't have the space to see things grow on, and it will become leggy. The plants, the seedlings will become leggy and they wouldn't be strong. So for me, the wisest thing to do is to think about starting seeds in maybe April and May, early May, where the seeds will germinate pretty rapidly because the earth would be warm. There's more sunlight. Yes, I want to plant more outside here in zone 6A. Yes, yeah. That's good, Mama. Yeah, I don't start my seeds until the end of February. Right. And so you have to know what your season is like, because definitely those who are in zone 7 or those who are in zone 8, they can start that seed planting, starting session. They can do that because they it's warmer. The temperatures are warmer. I was looking at one of my friends, Angela's Busy Bee Gardens and Homestead, and she said there was 50 degrees where she was. Well, right now it was 9 degrees. Yesterday it was 8 degrees. It was cold. I think the high was 12. Today it started off at 9 and then it went up to about 30 degrees. But it's cold here in the Northeast, so I can't really think that way. I can't think about starting seeds. And then maybe, I don't know, maybe later on I know I can. And there are some seeds that I'll be able to start, that will take longer to germinate. So it's important to know what you want to start, how long it will take for it to start. I don't know if I'm being clear, but the point is that you have to know your region. You're gonna have to know your start time. You have to be aware of what kinds of seeds do you want to start, and if how well will they do in your region, and because of your time zone. So for me, I'm thinking of, well, I want to have a bountiful garden. I want to have a full garden. One way, Cheryl, when is best time to start seeds for zone 8? Zone 8, you are in a much more warmer climate. And I would say that for you, it would be more like even, February, actually now, February, so I think it will be good for you. Tailcat77, hello, how are you? Yeah, my zone eighters, anyone else in zone 8 there? But I know you could start earlier than we can. Zone 8B, yeah. So Sonia, when do you start your seed starting? uh, you can help and share with that. But I know it's much more sooner. You can actually start, I believe, in February with yours because you'll be able to plant out your garden definitely by March. It will be warm, and things will probably grow really well for you much earlier than it would be for me in my zone. So with that in mind, how can I have a bountiful garden? I think having a bountiful garden, there are different ways that you can create more plants. The reason why people want to start seeds is because they want to have a bountiful garden. They want to have a lot of plants and they want to have a variety of plants. February, okay? Sonia answered you in February for zone 8. So they want to have a bountiful amount of plants and not have to spend a lot of money. That's why people buy seeds, because then they can have variety and they can have a lot of plants, especially if they're covering a large space. So seed starting is good. Plus, some people just like that whole process of seed starting. They love the whole experience of watching things grow. And it is exciting, I think, to know that you could plant a seed and watch it grow. You can see the leaves coming up and it formulating and so forth. I think that is an exciting process. But you also have to think about the time, how much, as I said, consider your location and consider how much time you need, and if you have the if you're in a cold location like myself, do you have enough sunlight? Because the seeds are going to need sunlight. They're going to need different things to be able to grow healthy. Like I'm in Alexandria, Louisiana, zone 8. Yeah, well, you should be able to start real early in your seed planting and sowing seeds. And actually, even some of those cold weather crops, you might want to get them in the ground early, like, for example, your lettuces and kales and radishes. My first plants or seeds that I start would be the radishes, if you like radishes, or cabbage, or those sort of plants, vegetables. They are good to start if you're going to see. And it also just depends on what you're growing as well. Let me kind of back up a little bit. Let me back up a little bit and start again, because I think I feel like I'm all over the place. But let me start again. So we need to get specific about what you want to grow. Get specific about what you want to grow. And for what season do you want to emphasize? So for spring, for me here during the springtime, it's more like the pansies, the violas, the tulips, the daffodils, those flowering bulbs and shrubs, starting off with shrubs that I would want to plant. And so that would happen in the springtime, but actually the best time for that, if you're going to plant bulbs, tulips, and so forth, it should have been done in the fall. And so that season is over, because now the earth is frozen. But that's for spring. But now when you're looking at summer, What do I want to grow in the summer? Well, more than anything, I want to grow vegetables, right? I want to make sure that I have my tomatoes and peppers. I like eggplant, zucchini, summer squash. Want to start bell pepper seeds in February. Okay, yeah. There's some that need to start early, like the peppers and the tomatoes. I know that some that they need to start early. So for me, what I do is plants like that, like my tomatoes and my peppers and tomatoes and peppers per se. I don't start from seed. What I do, hey RB, the Gardener Nanny LLC. Hello, Catherine. I will be doing loads of flowers. Yes, yes, yes. Renee, RB, the Garden Nanny, she's an expert. She's a master gardener, so she'll fill me in there. Renee, you can type in whatever if I need some help in describing this. Don't make sure that you kind of help me, give me some tips. Help us out because I need some help today. So I'm glad you stopped in. But yeah, Renee, she is wonderful. And you should, if you haven't subscribed to her channel, subscribe. She is a beautiful gardener. And she has a business. She actually has a gardening business where she helps people put their gardens together. So she's a professional. Yes. So I'm glad to have you. I would love to help. Not an expert though. You are so sweet, Catherine. Thank you. You are an expert. Um, so get specific about what you want to grow. So it depends. If you're growing for the spring, then the bulbs and that sort of thing should have happened already. But in the springtime is the time when you want to plant your garlic, your onions, potatoes, um, some of those other plants like your brassicas, cabbage, those types of plantings should go in. For me, in the spring, because um, not all seeds, I'm not so great with seeds starting with everything, like the peppers and the tomatoes. I buy them from a local grower as seedlings and seed starts. And for me, that works because I don't have to wonder if the plant is going to grow or not. I can see it. It's a matter of me taking care of it, making sure that I don't plant it too soon, because then I get anxious and I would plant it out too soon, and then we'll have a mild frost. And tomatoes are sensitive, peppers are sensitive, and they will, wither away. And then I'll have to go and buy some more. But that's a good thing. I mean, if you don't need a lot of tomatoes or a lot of peppers, that if you plant a 6-pack of peppers and a 6-pack of tomatoes, then that's fine. Yes, I love starts. I'm more of a flower gardener. I'm learning to become a vegetable gardener. Yes, and me too. But I know that, like for me, the summer squashes, like the butternut squash pumpkins, I'm great at that because I could just throw those seeds in, and they can be planted later on in the season, like in May when the ground is warm and it's hot. It's like 50 degrees. That they will do fine. When it gets warmer too, with 50 at night and 70 during the day, the squashes, the winter squash will do well, and they've done very well for me. I'm still eating butternut squash that I've stored. My winter squash, I'm still eating them now. Pumpkins, that's good to know about the squashes. Yeah, and you mound them up. You don't need a lot, and the thing about it is that um, you have to give them a lot of space to trail, or you can um, create a trellis for them, but it has to be sturdy, like a cattle panel. They have the cattle panels which you can have them trail over. I let them sprawl through my garden. I love the leaves of the squashes, of the butternut squash, and so forth. So by the fall, it just the late summer, I just allow them to trail through. It's just that you have to, be aware of where they are, and check them out. Make sure that they're not resting on the grass, because then they'll start to rot, but that they're kind of elevated a little bit. So that's with the squashes. I know I can grow squash really well. And I'm still, as I said, I'm still enjoying my squash, my butternut squash, my pumpkins, and my other winter squash. It's wonderful. It's just wonderful. And my patty pan. I have some of the patty pan that are still there, and they were prolific throughout the garden, and just enough for my family that I can have them in stews and bake them, and just enjoy them. So that's in the spring. So the summertime with flowers. Now, I love to plant, I start planting out my zinnias. There are two ways that you can plant your flowering plants, annuals, like marigolds, cosmos, zinnias, bachelor's buttons. Um, they can be sown out in the garden. You could just, clear the space. I like to put down a layer of compost and then sow the seed, but sow the seed direct sow into the ground with the especially with the zinnias. And just know that I cannot touch that area. I have to wait. And usually they come up like in 5 to 10 days. They come up, and they start to show their leaves, and they grow, and they last until the first frost. They are stunning, and the variety is just amazing. So I'm planning on planting more zinnias, and to really put together a flower garden. Cosmos are the same, and also marigolds. Marigolds are very easy to grow, and I love this. I am planning on growing or adding more flowers because I enjoyed cutting them. And I got this book, and this is going to be my guide as far as putting together a cut flower garden, or adding more cut flowers to my garden now, so that I can feel that I can cut. It's called The Cut Flower Garden, Floret Farms. And she is also on Instagram, Floret Farms on Instagram. My favorite zinnia is Cabaret by Renee's Garden. Name of the seed packet. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good to know about the squashes. Yeah. And so you can check this out, and also if you want, you can follow her. I think that it will be wonderful to follow her, because she's just a really good teacher, and she gives really good instructions and free workshops. So to subscribe to her newsletter and the workshops that she offers, it's really good. You'll learn a whole lot. Of course, she has paid ones as well, paid workshops, but I think that she offers a lot of good information. And she gives information on what kind of flowers that you can have in your garden. Chrysanthemums. She talks about chrysanthemums, and sunflowers, and all kinds of other different types of flowers there. And then in the fall, um, that's where the cannas come out. The late summer into the fall, we start to see the cannas and the caladiums and the hibiscus and those really bright, beautiful, bold flowers show up. But then also at that time too, we start to really begin to harvest our peppers and tomatoes and squashes. And like zucchini grows really easy too. And the summer squashes, they all have the similar type of seed like the pumpkins. So those are easy to grow direct sow in the ground. Then we have the herbs as well. We have the different herbs that you want to plant in your garden too. So it's really getting specific, I think, about what you want to grow. What are the rest of you all thinking? What do you have to say? Mama, G Mama Grouse and Sonia and the others, what do you have to say? Come on, help me out here. Give me some feedback. What are you thinking, Cheryl? You were asking some questions. Now, the thing is that if you don't have a lot of space, say that you don't have a lot of land, but you have a little plot, you can do container gardening as well. Container gardening is really a good thing. And getting a good sized pots, if you get a couple of really good sized pots, then you're able to plant a lot of things. I was looking at grow bags, and I'm thinking of getting some grow bags to grow. I'm starting new flowers in containers. Yeah, containers are good to start flowers in. Like I started basil in a container. Forever Mimi. Hello, Mimi. How are you? Happy? It's Wednesday, honey. Wednesday evening. Yeah, I started last year basil in pots. I think herbs do well in pots, and that's how I started my herbs in pots, like basil, oregano. I tried to grow lavender by seed, and it didn't work. By the way, I'm going to plant fruit trees and herbs. Yes, fruit trees and herbs. Oh, good. Now, okay, here we go. Yeah, so be specific about what you want to grow. Grow bags are nice. They require a little extra watering, though. Okay. Yeah, I was looking on Amazon, and they had these grow bags that you can grow potatoes in, because I haven't really had I have had some success in growing potatoes directly in the ground, but then when I had to dig them up, it seemed like I lost some of them, and they didn't grow as healthy. So I'm thinking of growing potatoes in grow bags or in some large container. I actually tried to grow them in pots. And I got some potatoes, but not a lot. They were small. So that's another thing. Get specific about what you want to grow. And think about the different seasons and what is best for them. Best time to grow them. Will you grow them by seed? And if you grow by seed, if you're going to grow things by seed, then what will you need? I've done very well with potatoes in grow bags. You did? Yeah, that's good. That's good to know, G Mama. I feel encouraged. That's what I'm going to do. One of the things I'm going to do is grow potatoes in seed bags and see how that works out for me. I think that would be easier, because then I can actually move the grow bags to the sun, because that's another thing. When you container garden, you can move the pot around so that it can get sun. Because remember, we have the deciduous trees in the spring, so you can get fooled by thinking, oh, I have enough sunlight. But then when the leaves branch out, the next thing you know, it becomes a shaded area, and it doesn't work. Fruit trees, yeah. growing fruit trees are great. And I went to my local nursery and was able to get plum trees, um, pear tree, um, apple tree, and a Asian pear tree, and they are doing well. That growing trees, or fruit trees, it takes some time, but it's a great investment. My plum trees produced much more faster, much more quicker. Gardens Army, hi, how are you, Beverly? How are you? So good to have you. I think that fruit trees are a great investment. And if you are able to grow figs, my fig trees are doing well. It took time though. You just have to, with fruit trees, make sure that you put them in a sunny location and that you realize that they're going to need time. Um, so you may not get, depending on the size of the tree, because if it's a good size, you may get fruit right away. But if it's a small tree, it's going to need time to develop. But it's a great investment. And when you finally do get to eat from your fruit tree, oh, what a wonderful feeling. When I was able to eat the plums from my plum tree, they were so sweet. It was such a different taste because you're able to allow your fruits to ripen fully. And so you're getting the richness. And even if you just get a few to start with, it's so encouraging because you know that eventually the tree's going to grow up and it's going to produce great fruit. I remember as a child in my parents' backyard that we had plum trees and we had a pear tree. And now that pear tree was planted by the people before us. So we inherited the pear tree and the plum tree. And I would look forward to the plums. They were like, there's somebody who came on. I'm going to try the grow bags for first time. I hope it works for me. Yeah, and do try it. I think it will work for you. Yeah, and the fig trees are good too. So I'm hoping that in the spring I'll be able to, when I trim the fig trees down, that I will be able to send some of you all some cuttings of the fig tree cuttings. But it's going to take time. And I grew sweet potatoes in grow bags, and they did pretty good. This year, 2020, I will do a better job. Some potato bags produce better than the heat before 2020. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and now I think because grow bags have become, um, have become popular, that they're getting better and better. I saw some that had actually they had cut a cutout at the bottom that you could pull it up and not have to disrupt the whole plant, but that you could get to see if the potatoes have developed. I thought that was so good. That's what I want to do. I want to get. Ms. Catherine, where do you order your seeds from? I really don't order seeds. I have ordered seeds from Baker Creek. Um, Agree about fig trees being easy to grow. They are easy to grow, and when they do catch, they are delicious. So I'm excited about that. Um, you know what? I bought my seeds to get started in getting accustomed to planting seeds and going through that whole process. I decided to go to the Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree seeds worked for me. There were just enough in the package, and they were inexpensive. Four for $1, and 4 packs for $1, and the variety was very good. And I was able to grow kale, the curly kale from the Dollar Tree seeds, and the kale last year was so delicious and so prolific and full and luscious, and it was just from a 25-cent packet of seed. So um, and they're non-GMO. So I grew corn last year also from my Dollar Tree seeds. And there's certain plants that, like corn, I started first in a seed tray. Nothing fancy, just got like from my 4-pack or 6-pack that I had gotten from my annuals. I just recycled them, reused them, fill them with dirt, put the seeds in, and put it in a sheltered place. And I think watering is so important, making sure that your seeds don't dry out. That's so important with the whole process of seed starting. And I will be starting some seeds later on. So you'll see that, because I showed you last year. If you wanted to go back and look at some of my videos, you could see where I created, I put together my little greenhouse on the deck and started the seed process in May or so, April, May, when the weather got warm. And it really worked. It's good. It's good because you can get a lot for little. And another way that you can have bounty in your garden is by divisions. Now I'm switching gears now and going to talk about flowers and perennials. If you have perennials in your garden that come back every single year, hey, how are you? Huga Homestead, hello, how are you? So good to have you. Huga and Homestead. I had to think about that. But good to have you. Good to have you here with us today. So, Huga Homestead, how are you? So, I know that some of you want to start your flower gardens. Yeah, so let's talk about that. So, there are two different ways that you can have flowers. One, through annuals and perennials. Annuals are flowers that only grow during that season. They come and they flower. They're intense, and they give you a lot of color in the garden. And then their life cycle is from spring until the first frost, and then they're done. Whereas perennials will come back in your area. It depends too on your zone. There's some perennials, there's some annuals that are like perennials. So if you're in Florida or in very warm climates, then what would be an annual for us would be like a perennial for you. It will, it loves that heat, and it can last. But perennials, I'm going to start tonight going back and looking at your video. Oh, thank you, Cheryl. Well, if you look at the last couple of videos, I myself I went back and I looked at some of the things that I did too. So my last 2 videos that I did shows the spring, and then one of the other one is more of the summertime. And I'm going to put out one tomorrow, which would be late summer into the fall. And so with perennials, you can, in the springtime, you can dig them up and divide them and expand your garden that way. For example, with the bee balm, I have bee balm in my garden, and it spreads out. What I've done to add to and create more bounty in the garden is that I divided it up and put it in different patches and different places that I wanted them to grow. And it did very well. I also had like purple phlox, and I had some in the front garden, and I transplanted, cut and divided and put in different other borders. What that does too, when you cut your perennials and divide them and put them in other parts of the garden, it brings cohesion to the garden. There's that rhythm. You can see rhythm in your garden, because it's not just a hodgepodge of different things, but now you are actually bringing some harmony to the garden, some flow, because there's some repetition. Repetition is good in the garden. So also, for example, like I have hostas, a lot of hostas, and that's how we were able to create, in a sense, a hosta garden, because I was in the shade at the time when I first started gardening. There were a lot of trees, and so I think there is so I was able then to cut and divide, and that helps me a lot to expand my garden and to make the garden look bountiful. So yeah. Hey Rambo, how are you? How are you? Good to have you. Glad that you've come. Greet everybody. Yeah, we're talking about a lot of things. I'm trying to cover too much, I think, in this one session. But I'm excited about this, and I'm glad you all are excited too. Here to some love. Yes, we love you too. So good to have you with us. So, yeah, hello. Yes. Yes, we moved that one. Yeah, so what other ways can you get plants? By dividing plants in the spring. Oh, so there are some perennials that are really easy to divide. For example, daylilies are good to divide, bee balm, mints, things like that. They can be divided and put in different. Well, you want to be careful with the mints. Sunday Backyard Farmer, how are you? Hello, so good to have you coming and joining us here at Catherine's Garden and Home, where we grow together. Yeah, we have a lot of fun, and but I've been kind of serious right now with this. What other ways can you get plants? We talked about seeds. We talked about dividing plants in the spring. You can buy starts, especially with the vegetables. You can buy vegetable starts by going to local growers who grow. And the other thing is that when you buy plants, like in the summertime, say you go to Lowe's and they have plants, those plants that they offer, you can actually divide plants from that, because many times when they're planting in the pots, they offer you 3 plants, and because they want it to look full and bushy. So if you just take your time, you can actually tease them apart and end up having extra plants. And that's something that I've done before too. So with perennials, that is easy. And then the annuals, I like the Dollar Tree flowers, and I haven't tried their vegetables. Good to know. Yes, and on and on. I'm glad you mentioned the Dollar Tree seeds and the Dollar Tree flowers, because here in my area, they have already started to put out the gardening supplies. And I was able to pick up these. I was so happy to get them, because last year I got these pots, and I was able to put my strawberry plants, and they're really nice. They're stackable. You know the stackable planters? The stackable planters. And each one is $1. So I love this color. Yeah, the Lowe's, yes, the Lowe's clearance plants are great. That's a good way too of increasing your garden too, to really look out for the clearance. And they do have, so the best time to do that is seasonal. So then you know when the summer's over that they're going to have those plants out that you can go and get them, like right around June. And then, of course, the roses will be out. So then the next thing to be able to get the clearance roses, you will go and get them in July and so forth. I was thinking about those stackable planters for strawberries also. Yes. So they're there, and they go really fast. The stackable 3-tier planter. And I got myself I saw it out and I said, I'm going to buy it now. The thing with the Dollar Tree is that when you see it, get it. Because when you go back, it might not be there anymore. And they have other nice things there too as well. I saw some other little planters that or pots that you can also use to start, different things. And you can put the other thing with pots, though, to make it attractive and to make it look bountiful, is to cluster them together, and cluster pots of the same color or of the same style, and that is attractive. There are some gardeners there that love to plant in pots, and that helps to make the garden look attractive when they're all, instead of having just a whole slew of different pots, random pots. But when you have the same style, but you have different flowers in it, there's that commonality of the pots being of the same color or height or style. And if you buy pots, buy them, like for me, I bought five of them. Buy them in odd numbers and then group them together, and that will look pretty. Or with these are stackables, and they're not very deep, but then you can start your plants off in the stackable and then transplant them into bigger pots or into the ground. And this, to me, this is a good way of starting also some of your vegetables and things. You could start them in the stackables and then transplant them into the garden or your flowers or into your flower beds. So you have your annuals versus your perennials. You have your trees, you have your shrubs, and you have your plants. So let me kind of just read through what I have here in my notes so that I can cover this. And if you have any questions, you can ask me. So number one, get specific about what you want to grow. What is it that you want to grow this year? Do you want to grow annuals? Do you want to grow perennials? Do you want to grow trees or shrubs? Figure out what it is. And then what season do you want to emphasize? What season do you want to put a lot of your energy into? Spring, summer, or fall? And the other thing is, will you grow them by seed? Yes, most perennials can be divided. Hostas, daylilies, black-eyed Susans, loads of free flowers. Yes, that's true. Will you grow them by seed? If you want to get, if you're growing vegetables, you can grow your vegetables by seed, but you can also get starts. To me, vegetables, certain vegetables, you want to start by seed because it's less expensive. Yeah. How about edging flower beds and mixing it with different plants and planters? Yes, that's a great idea. I love that. And you can see that too. Backyard bless up. Backyard, yes. Who was asking me about? Cassie, yes. Cassie, that is so true. If you go on the website, Catherine's Garden Home, lws.weebly.com, you could see Rachel, Brampton's gardener. She has alyssum lining and bordering her garden, and she did by seed. She planted a couple, and they just spread and self-sowed. And that's it. That's true. So some plants that just self-seed on their own and expand. And so the garden is very bountiful, very bold, and very beautiful, and will help you if you provide for it what it needs. So one of the major things that we all need to be thinking about is our soil. How can we amend the soil and bless the soil? And using compost is so important. Sharon, hi, y'all. Just saw the stream. I'm starting at the beginning to catch up. Hello, Sharon. How are you? Well, I'm just reviewing again, so it's okay. Will you? So that's the best and most important thing to think about. If you can get some compost or start composting, and Rambo has a great video on composting. So check him out. What I've done is that I've gone to my local landscaper, and they have and I ordered some soil. I decided that I wanted to invest in good compost, good growing soil, and it made the difference. Worm castings, yes, that's true. That's very true. The worm castings is a good way of enriching the soil. What? Oh, buy the clearance plants from Lowe's, cheap. Hello, soil brothers and soil sisters. Who's that? Oh, Cherie, how are you? Black Tropical Homestead, how are you? Worm castings. Yes, worm castings. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, you can have those worm bins too. But soil is so critical. And that's another thing that I wanted to talk about too. That even now, start to put aside some money so that you can, a couple of dollars here and a couple of dollars there, and put it and create a garden budget. And investing in some good soil, even a couple of bags of soil if you have to get it from Lowe's or whatever, that's good too, because what it does is that it gives your soil, your plants, a chance to survive. So you want to make sure that you have some good compost, some good soil for your plants. Give them a good beginning, and your seeds too. And there are people who like to fertilize, Biotone and all of those other tones. They like to buy that. I really haven't been one for fertilizing, and my plants do well. I do use Miracle Grow on the flowers, but the vegetables, compost. I don't use fertilizer on my vegetables, but my flowers, I do use Miracle Grow on the flowers, but it's up to you what you'd like to do. But I believe that having good soil is highly important. Will you grow them by seed? So you have a choice to grow by seed. What will you need, and when will you begin? The beginning. So that's another thing that you have to think about. What other ways can you get plants? We talked about that by you have your seeds, but you could also divide plants in the spring, and you could buy plants, and also, like for roses, if you want roses in your garden, you can get bare root roses, really inexpensive, in the spring from Lowe's and Home Depot, and they rather than waiting till you put them in the pots and so forth, buying it from the pots. But buying bare root is also a good way of getting a lot for little. So I talked about annuals versus perennials. And so you have to decide what you want to focus in on. Do you want flowers, vegetables, herbs, and shrubs, or trees, fruit trees. What do you want? What are you willing to put your energies into? And if you want all of the above, then start to think about, well, where are you going to put them in your garden? How are you going to frame it? How are you going to design it? And you want to definitely with flowers, you don't want just one plant of this and one of that, because then it's not going to look attractive. You want to have a beautiful, bold, and bountiful garden. That's going to give you the most pleasure. So less is more, actually, in a garden like that. Less is more. So if you are going to have a certain flower, you don't want to just buy one pot of it. You want to buy like 3. And you know who's a good example of that? Garden Addicts. She buys in quantity. Or Laura of Garden Answer, they buy in bulk. So that's why you might want to start with seeds, or that's why you would like to know how to divide. But when you go to the garden center, decide that you're going to buy more than one of that particular plant. If you like a plant, buy at least 2 or 3 of them. So that means that you've got to start to budget now. Create a budget for yourself. And the way that you can start to save is, one, by going to the Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree is fantastic because they offer seeds, which you can start your seeds for little money, for $4. At least that was the price last year. It might have gone up, but still, you can't beat that. And they also offer other, how to plant roses correctly. Well, it depends on how you want to, if you want to plant bare root or if you want to plant from the pot. Catherine, you are so blessed to have a husband interested in helping you create a beautiful oasis for your family. Thank you. Yeah, he does help me with cutting the grass and the borders. And this year of 2021, he really he fell in love with the garden. To the point that I thought that he was like wanting to take over. I had to kind of tell him, listen, I've tried roses 4 years with no success. Ladies, grow more food this year. The shelves are a bit empty now. Yes, Sharon, that is so true. 2 of the same plant increases productivity of the variety. Yes, yes. Come on, keep it coming, keep it coming. Yes, that's true. Oh, Sharon, you're right. I think that growing food still here, cooking dinner. Hey, Mimi. Yes, so that is a good point, Sharon, that we need to start stocking up. Like beans, I planted beans, the bush beans. Bush beans are great to eat fresh, and growing carrots and these things. That's very true. To make sure that you have some form of vegetables growing, vegetable gardens, and you could grow them by seeds. You could beans are easy to grow by seed. Pumpkins. Lynette, maybe they are not in full sun or planted too deep. Yeah, that's true. Yes. It depends on which kind of rose that she's talking about, if it's in pots or if it's bare root. But that's true. And Lynette, we're going to be talking more about that, about growing roses as we go on. So stick around, stick with me, because I'm going to get to it. I love roses, and I plan on planting more roses. So you're going to learn how to do that, and you'll have success. Don't worry. And it depends on what kind, too, because some roses are more susceptible to green, what is that, to different diseases. So it's about bare root roses to plant. Yeah, I love to plant bare root roses. So I will look for one. And Home Depot usually sells bare root roses, and I tend to buy from them in the spring. So I will try and get one and make sure that I put up a video of it. Yeah. So yeah, so there's a lot to think about. But as I would want to advise you all to get a budget and start to think about seeds that you want to grow. My purple rose bush always gets black spot. Yeah, they will get black spot because it may need more airflow. It might not be getting enough sunlight. It just might be a bad year for the rose at that particular time. They're finicky. Some of them are. That's why I like the knockout roses. I tend to have a lot of success with them. But there are other rose types that are disease resistant. So you want to make sure for your area that you're getting a rose bush that is disease resistant, that is can tolerate your weather. There are a lot of other. Oh, by the way, each year I get the handbook, the David Austin Rose Handbook, and in it it gives a lot of information about roses. So go and visit David Austin as his website, David Austin Rose website, and request a handbook. It hasn't come yet, but in it they give you different rose types and they give you a lot of information. And that's something that I wanted to talk to you all about. That ordered the catalogs, like I ordered a burpee catalog, and in it it gives you a lot of pictures of different vegetables. It gives you information for free. It tells you the new and the latest. It gives you the pics, but then it gives you ideas of different types of vegetables, A to Z. Deborah, how are you? Vegetables A to Z. And it gives you, it tells you of different herbs, and annuals and perennials, and it tells you how to grow them and what they look like. So, order catalogs, and burpee seeds are sold also in Lowe's and in Home Depot. So you can look at the catalog and see what kind of seeds you want to order, and then when you go to Lowe's or Home Depot, you can pick them up, or you can order them from burpee.com. Excuse me. And so you can get bare root roses from Adelaide in the spring for under $7. Oh, I didn't know. I don't know of them. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So there's a lot of information here, and there's a lot that you all want to know. But this is good. So start to write down what it is that you want to do, and start to organize your thoughts. I created my journal. You can get your own notebook, and then divide it up. What you want to grow in the spring, what you want to grow in the summer, what you want to grow for the fall. What kind of flowers do you want? And in it, it gives you information here. In here, I give you places to write down your information, because you may need certain tools, you need a plant selections, and excuse me, this will be like a guide for you. You can either order my book, or you can get a notebook and start to jot down information of what you want to get. And don't make sure you visit the Dollar Tree, because they have the supplies, because you're going to need gloves, you're going to need tools. They have other things that you'll probably need the string to tie your plants with, all of that. And to get it for $1 is a good thing. And you can get as, yeah, hello everyone. Deborah. Deborah got my book. Deborah ordered my book and she's been using it. She enjoyed it. She got it for Christmas. Zone 8B, March 15th. Okay. So thank you, Deborah. How exciting. That makes me feel so good. Your comment made me so happy. I'm so excited about the spring, especially my toothache plant. I've already started so many seeds. Just Google the zone. Yeah. Yes. And so Cherie is also a great gardener there, and she has a lot of exotic plants that she grows, and she grows by seed. So make sure that you all subscribe to one another. I think everybody's probably subscribed to one another here, but for some of you who are new to the channel, subscribe to different people. I could recommend everyone that's here that that have channels. Renee's channel, R&B Nanny, Tropical Black's Tropical Homestead. Visit her channel. She's doing a whole lot. She's new, but she's got a lot of knowledge, and especially on tropicals, just like what her name says. So if you're interested in growing unique things, and I think she's in the South, in the warmer climates. I don't know. Sheree, are you Zone 8? And so she'll be able to give you a lot more knowledge on that zone. Yeah, so also subscribe to Rambo's channel as well. Well, people, I am done. I'm tired. I'm rambling. But you all were patient with me today. So I have to say, we are Georgia AB. Yeah, she's Georgia AB. So my sister here that just joined us. Yeah, I'm rambling, so I am about to say good night. But you all have been so good. All in all, just 100%. Much love. Thank you, Rambo. I've been trying. You know what happens is that there's so much that I want to talk about because we're right at the beginning here. But the number one thing that I want to, thanks for sharing. You're wonderful too. Thank you, G Mama Gross. So you take what you can from what we talked about, and know that there's more to come. This is just, God bless Wisconsin. Thank you so much. This is just the beginning of a beautiful year. And that what great conversation as always. So, sister, have a wonderful week. Thank you, sweetheart. Yeah, we're about to end. But make sure that you get a budget. I hope I can get it to grow. Black's Tropical Homestead. Get a budget. Start putting aside some money, and you can experiment in the higher zones by covering with mulch, leaves, and a row cover. And make sure that you start to visit. You'll catch the replay? Okay, that's good. Start to visit your home centers to get the seeds, all right? Definitely the Dollar Tree for pots. The Stackables are there. I wanted to share that with you all, that the Stackables are there, and they're starting to put out their gardening supplies. So you know that you're going to need gloves. You might need some pots to start with. They have soil. They have all of the basic things. Fig cuttings, yes. And so just, start to think about that. Then also Lowe's has the seeds. Start in wet paper towel in a bag to germinate, then out in pest moss or cocoa. Yeah. Rachel showed how to do with the paper towel, but there are a lot of good videos out there on how to do that, how to start your seeds with the paper towel, and seed starting going on. So That's the other thing. That David Austin handbook is so beautiful. I got mine this year. You already got yours? I ordered it, but it hasn't come in yet. I don't know what has happened. I have the Stackables looking for labels. Yes, they should have the labels there with the Dollar Tree. So keep visiting it now. Now's the time to visit it because by February or so, yes, I started my mango seeds the same way. So I started my seeds indoors. Yes, I'm glad you all are enjoying one another. That's good. That's good. I'll try it. Let's talk about, yes, visit one another. And continue to come by and visit with me where we grow together here at Catherine's Garden and Home. Come on, let's grow together at Catherine's Garden and Home. Oops. Well, I'm running out of battery, so that always tells me that it's time for me to say goodbye. Yes, and to wish you all a wonderful evening. Thank you so much, my gardening friends and family, for coming and joining me. Thank you for giving me some of your time. I appreciate it. And go make sure that you watch my videos because you'll get to see and reminisce with me on what my gardens looked like last year in 2021 and what we want to dream about for this year. It's relaxing. And then also get a notebook. Start writing down your notes. Start organizing yourself. You can either get mine or you can get your own. And they sell notebooks, composition books at the Dollar Tree for $1. So, but just write it down. It will help you. But the whole idea is to plan now. To plan what you need so that when you see it, you'll be able to buy it and you'll be much more intentional in your garden. This is the time to plan. Planning brings hope. And plan if you want to plant more vegetables, which you should do. One of the things that we need to do is to plant food. Sharon, thank you for reminding us of that. We also want to plant beauty because the flowers will help our mental health as well. So we want to just, just continue to let our gardens be bountiful, beautiful, and bold, and minister to our bodies, our minds, our souls, and our spirits, right? And to each other as we experience the joy together. This was great. Gotta run. Good to see you, Catherine. Thank you. I'm glad you came, and I'm gonna run too. So let's give everybody a hand. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you so much for giving me your time here at Catherine's Garden and Home, where we grow together in Catherine's Garden and Home. That's right. Grow together in Catherine's Garden and Home. Grow together in Catherine's Garden and Home. That's right. Grow together in Catherine's Garden and Home. Yes. So have a nice night, my people, and be blessed. May the blessings be with you. Yes. Many blessings. Bye.